Hello guys, and we got second one here. I'm here with, well, today is Halloween, so I'm here reading you some creepypastas. Just for this Halloween, I might do a next Halloween, who knows. But my first story today is the strangest security tape I've ever seen. I work at a gas station in rural Pennsylvania. It's a boring job, but it's pretty easy, and it pays alright. A few weeks ago, this new guy started. I'll call him Jeremy. Jeremy is weird. He's about 25 or 26, and he hardly speaks. But he's got the creepiest laugh I've ever heard. My boss and I both have noticed this, but it's never been a problem, so there's not much we can do about it. Customers have never complained about him, and he's always done his job fairly well. Up until a few weeks ago, anyway. That's when things started going missing. Employee theft can be a real problem at any business that sells consumer goods, and there's only one person working at a time at this gas station. It's a pretty small place. About 2 weeks ago, my boss started noticing that we were short on motor oil. At first, it was a few containers at a time, then entire shelves and boxes from the back room. Pretty soon, entire shipments would be gone the day after we got them, and it would always be right after Jeremy's shifts. My boss checked the security camera tapes from every single night he worked, but he can never catch him in the act. Jeremy would lock up at closing, then the motor oil would be gone the next day. My boss usually takes the tapes home with him trying to catch Jeremy stealing. But his daughter had a softball game last night, so he asked me to watch the tape for him. He offered to pay me overtime under the table, so obviously I took that offer. There are 3 cameras, so he gave me 3 different tapes to check. I figured it would be a long night, but I'm trying to save up for a vacation, so I really need the money. I took the tapes home, popped them in an old VCR, and sat back. 2 days ago, the last time he worked, Jeremy started at 4 p.m. Everything seemed normal at first. He counted up his drawers, switched off with the girl who was working before him, and waited for a customer. The first customer who came in was Mrs. Templeton. The timestamp on the video read 4:03. A regular. She picked up her cigarettes, had in a newspaper, and paid with a 20. Nothing unusual there. Next customer was a local guy named Ron. He drives a motorcycle. Usually comes in every few days. He filled up his tank, got a bag of beef jerky, paid with his credit card, then left. Next guy was a guy with a cowboy hat. I'd never seen him before, but we get plenty of strangers passing through, just like any gas station. He got $40 worth of diesel fuel, paid with a $100 bill, went on his way. I sat back inside. The only thing more boring than doing this job was watching someone else do it. My boss's offer was enough to keep me watching, though, so I left the tape on. Everything seemed pretty normal. I had a feeling that if Jeremy was stealing motor oil, he knew we were suspicious of him by now. I didn't expect him to be dumb enough to let us catch him on camera. Things stayed boring and routine until about 5 o'clock. At 5:03, Mrs. Templeton came back in. She must have forgotten something, but she didn't. She bought the same pack of cigarettes as before, and the same newspaper. She paid with another 20. That's odd, I thought. But then again, she's a little absent-minded. I thought Jeremy should have told her she already got her smokes, but it's not against the rules to tell somebody the same thing twice. That's when Ron came again. He bought another tank of gas for his motorcycle again. I later checked the outdoor camera because I thought maybe he had another car he wanted to fill up. And the same pack of beef jerky. He paid with his credit card again. No big deal. I figured this was just a weird coincidence. Mrs. Templeton is forgetful, and Ron probably owns more than one Harley. That's when the guy in the cowboy hat came back in. I felt a little chill run down my spine. Don't get Diesel. Don't get Diesel. I found myself whispering to my empty living room, but he did. Got $40 worth of diesel and paid with another $100 bill. Every move he made was identical to his first visit, right down to the way he scratched his nose before he walked out. Either this guy's rich, owns a lot of trucks, and just moved into town, or something really bizarre is happening. I kept watching. Every customer for the next hour was the same as before. Every single one. I was seriously freaked out. And then at 6:03, Mrs. Templeton walked back in. She bought her cigarettes and a newspaper again, and paid with the 20 again. I thought I was going to lose it. I only watched another half hour before I started fast-forwarding through the rest. It was all the same. Every customer would come in at the exact times, exactly 1 hour apart. Now I know what you're thinking. That sneaky motherfucker. Jeremy had messed with the tapes. He had run a loop of his first hour of business over and over. That wasn't the case. There are windows around the cash register area that the camera covers. I watched the sunlight fade as time ran on. Jeremy's routine didn't loop. He swept, mopped, Restocked, it did all its duties exactly how you would expect, but the same customers kept coming in. I was panicked at this point. Something was seriously wrong with what I was seeing, and I had no explanation for it. I skipped ahead to just when he locked up and walked out to his car. He hadn't stolen anything, but I kept watching just to make sure. I fast-forwarded one last time to about midnight. At exactly 12:03, out of nowhere, Jeremy's face pops up on camera. I don't mean he moved his head to view. I mean, 1 second the store was empty. The next second, his face was all I could see. He wasn't looking at the camera, he was looking at me. I was sure of it. I screamed and fumbled for the remote. By the time I grabbed it, he was gone, just as soon as he had left. One frame he was there, the next he wasn't. My hands were shaky like crazy, but I popped in another tape. The other indoor camera shows the back area by the cash register, and I'd be able to see how he got up to put his face in the camera like that. I skipped ahead to 12:03, but there was nothing. I would be able to see him standing on a chair or something on his tape, but he wasn't there. I didn't see him either enter the store at all after he left. It's like he wasn't really there. I don't know. I He doesn't know the security code, and no alarms were triggered that night after he locked up. What I did see, however, was at 12:03, the motor oil vanished off the shelves. All of it. Same as Jeremy's face. 1 second it was there, the next it wasn't. I turned that tape off and went to bed, but I didn't get a wink of sleep. My body is exhausted right now, but my mind is racing. That tape was undoubtedly the creepiest, most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. I work in a few hours. My boss asked me to bring the tapes back in and let him know what I had found. But really, what the hell am I going to say? Jeremy works the night shift tonight, directly after me, and the plan is for my boss to come in just before I leave and confront him with me, as I'm supposed to be the one who caught him stealing. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I suppose I'll have to show my boss the tapes. I don't want to watch them again. I never want to see something like that again. I can't get the image of Jeremy just smiling directly into the camera out of my mind. The creepiest look I've ever seen on another human being's face. Anyway, I'm going to try again to get some sleep, some last minute sleep before I have to go in and deal with this. I'll let you guys know what happens. Update, 12:49 p.m. Updating from my phone. Apologies in advance for errors. My boss just finished watching the last of the tapes. I told him what to expect, but he really can't prepare someone for something like that. He's scared shitless. I am too. And Jeremy is due to come in at 4. We've got a little over an hour to get our shit together, but neither of us knows what to say to him. Is he just a fucked up guy who likes to steal motor oil and scare the shit out of people? Or is he something else? I don't know if this is crazy, but does anyone think he could have anything to do with the time loop? My boss said he never noticed anything like that in any other tapes, but the way he popped up in this one made me think he knew I would be watching. It's like he wanted me to see what he could do, like he was showing off or something. The way he smiled into the camera was like a little kid showing you a sandcastle they just built. I don't know. I probably sound crazy. I sure feel the part. I'm going to talk to my boss some more. We have to calm ourselves down and figure out how to handle this. I'll update again tonight, but I have a really bad feeling about how this is going to play out. Update, 4:33 p.m. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone had been disconnected. We're calling the police. Update, 5:33 p.m. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone had been disconnected. We're calling the police. Update, 6:33 p.m. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone had been disconnected. We're calling the police. Update, 7:33 p.m. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone had been disconnected. We're calling the police. Update, 8:33 p.m. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone had been disconnected. We're calling the police. Update, 10:58 p.m. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. I just got home and saw my previous updates. Things make less sense now than ever. Here's what I can tell you. I went to work. Jeremy never showed up. My boss and I decided to call the police. As you're well aware, when I picked up the phone to call, though, the sun went out. I shit you not. That's what I thought had happened. Apparently I blacked out for exactly 5 hours, because when I looked at the clock, it was 9:33. I think I got stuck in Jeremy's time loop and then snapped out of it at the exact point I blacked out. If that makes sense, that's when things got really weird. My boss was right next to me when I blacked out, ready to corroborate my story to the cops. When I came to, my phone was in my hands, but it was dead. Not even a dial tone. My boss was still right there, but he wasn't moving. He was standing up, but frozen. I looked at the clock again, and it wasn't moving. The second hand was stuck on a 12. It was exactly 9:33, exactly. The clock on the register wasn't moving either. My phone was frozen. There was even a customer at the register waiting for my boss to get him cigarettes. I'm betting that would have been his fifth pack of the day. I got the fuck out of there. Didn't lock up. Didn't turn the lights out. And sorry guys, I didn't grab the security tapes to upload on the internet. Believe me, that was the last thing on my mind. The gas station is on a major highway, and the cars were parked all along it. Except they weren't parked, they were frozen. People inside were sitting still as wax figures. I got in my car and prayed that it would start. Thankfully it did. About halfway home, time started up again. Static from the radio turned into music, like it's supposed to be, and from what I could tell by listening to the house talk between songs, no one knows the time freeze, or whatever it was. I was the only one. Well, I'm sure Jeremy knows as well. I still have no clue where he is or what he's doing. I'm hiding in my room and calling the police again in the morning. I don't know if I ever got through to them before, or if I did. Whether they took me seriously. I'm scared for my life at this point. I'll update tomorrow if I can. Final update, 10:33 a.m. Finally fell asleep last night around 4. I have no idea how I did it. I guess exhaustion finally got the best of me. This morning I woke up to my phone ringing. It was my boss. He'd been calling me since about 6. He woke up for about the time when time turned back on last night and immediately called the cops. They came by to see what was wrong and he told them everything. The police around here are all small-time guys. They are more concerned with the missing motor oil than anything. My boss figured he would take it, as long as they had their attention. They decided to go looking for Jeremy. We keep our employees' applications on file, and since Jeremy just started working here, his was easy to find. They checked the address on it and headed over to his house. You're not going to believe what they found. The address Jeremy listed on his application was an empty lot, or at least now it is. There used to be a house there, but burned down in 1933. Being a small town, almost everyone remembers that fire. A family of 4 used to live there. Rumor has it that they had an estranged son, who they never really talked about. I can't say for sure if that's true. What I can say for true is that after an insurance investigation, the fire was ruled an arson. Their entire town was soaked in oil, torched with a Molotov cocktail. The entire family was sleeping when it happened. None of them survived. They never caught the guy who did it. Rumor has it, when they tried to contact the estranged son, no one could find him. Anyway, my boss called me and told me this, and I freaked out. Then he asked me to come to the gas station. What are you, crazy? I said, but he assured me that the cops were there with him. Then he dropped a bomb. The FBI were also in town, and they were going to talk to me one way or another, so I might as well come in. It was about 7:15 and I wanted to go back to bed, but I figured I wouldn't be able to sleep much more anyway, so I went down. 4 men in suits greeted me and told me to have a seat. We went over everything 2 or 3 times until they got all the details down. I told them about Jeremy, the security tape last night at work, everything. Finally, after I finished, one of the agents said, "Oh Christ, we got another one on our hands." They made me sign a bunch of papers saying I wouldn't tell anyone about what happened, so I can't say much more. I may be breaking the law just by posting this. So now I'm home. I'm not sure what to do with my life. The agent's words when I told them the story are going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Anyway, I've got to go. I have some errands to run today. I have to go into work to pick up some tapes. My boss and I think the new guy, Jeremy, is a complete creep. He's stealing motor oil. I have to watch the security footage to see if I can catch him doing it. I have better things to do, but my boss is paying me overtime under the table. I'm trying to save up for vacation, so I really could use the money. It should be pretty simple. The oil always goes missing right after his shifts. I'll watch the tapes, catch him in the act, and that will be that. That's the end of the first story. The creepiest security tape I ever saw. Oh, now I'm going to read the next one. Tall, thin, and faceless. Walls. White walls. White padded walls. Day in, day out. White padded walls. Let me tell you why I see white padded walls day in and day out. I am, or at least according to several doctors, certifiably insane. Hallucinations, paranoia, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorders, the list goes on and on. I was a normal working class man living in the American dream. I had a wife and 2 children. My income was high and my debt was low. I had it all. Then things started going wrong. They started going in a direction I couldn't even fathom. My wife and I had always wanted to go to the British Isles, but for the longest time the money wasn't there. It took 7 years and 2 promotions before we can even begin to think realistically. Anyway, just after Months of careful planning and preparations, we were on a plane flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Just me and her. No kids, no job. Nothing but beautiful scenery and relaxation for 24 straight days. Fast forward a week. Having taken in many of the big cities, we decided to see some of the smaller places on the countryside. We packed a small bag of essentials and took a cab into the rural side of England. This is where things started to go wrong. Not the whole world is coming to an end wrong, even though it sure felt like it. Just wrong. We came across an old tailor in a modestly decorated cabin. He said he had been making suits for over 65 years. My interest was piqued. I decided to splurge a bit and buy one. Nothing beats the craftsmanship of a home-tailored suit. After buying it and calling for a cab, a picture on the wall caught my eye. It was old, black and white, mid-50s. It was a very tall and slim-suited man standing on a grassy plain. His face appeared to be smudged out. It was old. I didn't think much of it. Even so, something about the picture was unnerving. It gave an odd vibe. It felt almost menacing. I inquired about the photo, but the old man refused to talk about it. That just added fuel to my mental fire. Days upon days had passed. My wife and I took in every sight, every castle, every grassy knoll, and we possibly could. But, alas, we eventually had to go home. Part of us wanted to stay, but we were exhausted. There was no way we could spend any longer there. Our flight back home was vague, as we were both asleep most of the time. The drive back home was hazy. We just wanted to relax. As I pulled into the driveway, something was off. Something didn't feel right. I got the same feeling as I had when I saw the picture inside the tailor's home. It was a feeling of dread and curiosity. I didn't want to continue, but my mind forced me to. I stepped out of my car, and when I stood onto the concrete, my legs suddenly gave out. I fell to the ground onto my right hand and found myself unable to force myself up. Must be more tired than I thought. My wife helped me and supported me up to the bedroom. I was going to be asleep for a very long time, or so I thought. That night, I was plagued by nightmares of the sued man on the grassy plain. It wasn't really a bad dream as much as it was his presence haunting me in my subconscious. Just standing there, unnaturally tall, unnaturally thin. Standing there without a face, without an identity, and no matter how hard I tried, his face never focused. It was as though the picture had come alive in my thoughts, but remained unchanged. This went on until I had been abruptly awoken by the sound of the smashing of a lamp. I raced down 2 flights of stairs, leading from the bedroom to the living room, armed with only the brick we used as a door to stop. I slowly crept to the only lamp in our house used to be. I knelt down to pick up a piece to examine when I felt a slight blow of wind from behind me, like a person running past. I shot up faster than a startled cat. I spun around to see what or who it was. My eyes had still not adjusted, so surrounding me was nothing but darkness. My next thought was to listen. Nothing. Not a single thing. Not even the sound of the house settling. Maybe it was my nightmare or fatigue playing tricks on me. Maybe we had a slight tremor that caused the lamp to inch off the table. Regardless, I was tired, and I sorely wanted to get some nightmare-free sleep. It didn't happen. Throughout the rest of the night, the slender man was everywhere within my dreams. He was a bit curious, though. He only ever seemed to cautiously hide behind trees. Only in the original photo was he completely exposed. Even subconsciously, I wished I hadn't moved next to a forest, knowing he could be lurking, watching me, analyzing me. It didn't take long to force myself awake. 10:46 a.m. I looked to my left. I looked to my right. My wife was calmly sleeping. Lucky her. I dragged myself out of bed and slowly made my way downstairs. I half expected the TV to be blaring with my kids' eyes glued to the screen, but then I realized they were at their grandma's house. They were due back that day. I was going to miss the quiet. It was all right. I missed my kids even more. I continued down the stairs, hoping to get a game of solitaire and on the computer, when something made me feel very weak and hollow. The lamp wasn't broken, but it wasn't brand new either. Someone had took the pieces and shoddily glued them back together, and the glue wasn't glue. It was black and rubbery, like tar. I would have tasted it for origin, but that's never a good idea. My wife needed to wake up, soon. I was starting to panic. I explained what happened the night before, about the lamp and the nightmares and such. She rolled her eyes and told me I was on something. Wives. Sometimes I think they do it on purpose. Still feeling uneasy from this morning, I managed to force myself to look out into the forest behind our house. It was very calm, nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't completely dark, so it didn't look nearly as ominous as it usually did at night. I was badly lamenting this night in particular. Suddenly I saw a light out in the corner of my eye that caused me to nearly jump out of my skin. It was just the kids getting dropped off. I swear, I was thinking too much into this. I couldn't keep my nerves steady half the time. Hours passed. We played with the children. We put them to bed. We relaxed on the couch. My wife was asleep on my chest. I was nodding off. I slowly closed my eyes. It wasn't long before the quiet was broken, and my wife and I were woken up. A window broke upstairs. In a panic fury, we ran upstairs as fast as we could. Our eldest son, scared out of his mind, and said it came from his mother's room. Without even thinking, I kicked the door in. Only the nightlight in the far corner brought light into the pitch-black room. There he was, the man from my dreams, the slender man, hovering over my son's bed. Having seen him, I acted without even knowing what was going on. Punches were thrown, long black tendrils whipped all around. Last thing I remember was being held tightly above the ground, thrown against the wall. That's when I blacked out. I came to, my wife was in tears. I had 3 cracked ribs. My son was gone. The Slenderman had my son, and there was nothing I could do. But he knew I was going to come back, and that was where I would get him. The rest of the day was full of emotion. My wife could hardly stop crying. My other son was in a constant state of shock. I could barely think straight. I did, however, manage to call the police. I told them my son had been abducted by the man in the long black suit. I kept the details of the tendrils to myself, in fear they wouldn't believe me. That was the least of my worries. I needed to figure out when he would return. Police showed up and took each of our statements. They examined my son's room. They did a scour of the forest outside. It seems not a single piece of evidence was found. They began to leave when something hanging from a very high up branch caught their eye. It was a piece of material, black, pinstriped, much like the suit I bought out while I was on vacation. I pointed this out to the police. They inquired to see my suit. I gladly showed them the way. When they opened the closet door, what they found was beyond belief. Wrapped in my now tattered suit was my son, fully drenched in blood. He didn't look conscious. Both myself and the police were shocked and disgusted. That's when I blacked out. I came to, I was in an unfamiliar place. Gray painted walls, small windows on one of them, one exceptionally bland table. Great, I was in an interrogation room. I sat there alone for a good part of an hour before actual human life entered the room with me. Now, my memory is a bit hazy at this point, so I'll sum up the conversation as best as possible. The officer said, "Your son didn't survive. Deepest sympathies to you and your family. You've not been proven guilty. The evidence leans towards it. A further investigation must be held. You'll be brought back home, but you will be under constant supervision." And so on and so forth. I was driven home in the back of a police cruiser. Last time I was there was in high school, when vandalism was a cool thing to do. I was welcomed with open arms from my still sobbing wife and my emotionless son. Going back wasn't easy. Thankfully, we didn't have to stay long. The police explained that we were going to stay at a hotel for a few days. We gathered our things when a picture from our fridge caught the eye. It was a picture my late son drew. When I saw it, my heart nearly stopped. In the cutest crayon drawing you can imagine, with my son standing next to a tall, faceless man in a black suit. I made sure no one was around to see me stuff the picture into my pocket. The hotel was what you'd normally expect. Simple wallpaper, 2 twin beds, 1 TV, cheap flowery design on everything else. It would have to do since we were stuck there. We settled in, placing out our stuff and lying down. I, on the other hand, went to the bathroom, the only place I knew was private. Locked the door and took out the picture from my pocket. I scoured the page for clues, but to no avail. All that there was the crude drawing and his name scribbled into the bottom corner. That thing unnerved me. The most was the fact that the Slender Man had no face, no identity, no outstanding feature. It riled me to the core, but I had enough stress from today. I needed sleep. Badly. The night was rough, but I still managed to. Not a single dream with the Slender Man either. Then a bang came from my door. Being half asleep the whole time, it scared the shit out of me. I turned to my right. 5:14 a.m. Heads were going to roll. I dragged myself out of bed and very slowly opened the door. It was the police officer that drove us here. He had a look of panic on my face. He said my son was missing. Nothing clicked. It took me a minute to wake up and grasp reality again. My son's body was missing, snatched right from the hospital. This time I knew where he was. I had to get back to the hospital. I had to find the remains of my suit. It was the only way to stop the Thunder Man, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I had asked the police officer if he could drive me back to my house, as I had forgotten something. He pondered a moment and obliged. This time I had been allowed to sit in the passenger seat. The ride there was quiet. I tried to get some sleep. He didn't start any conversation. When we got there, I was careful to make sure no one else saw me. I entered the house through the front door and quickly escaped out the back and headed for the forest. It was still very dark, so traversing the heavily wooded area was not easy. The only light that came through was that of the moon, so I walked almost blind, hoping to find some scrap of my suit. It seemed to be impossible until, amidst the darkness, I saw a scrap of paper. The white of it stood out like a sore thumb. I leaned down to pick it up, and when I turned it around, what I saw completely horrified me. It was another drawing by my son, with both him and the Thunderman. This one was different. There were 3 other people, a boy about the same height as him, an older-looking girl, and a boy as big as the girl. Then it dawned on me. It was us, my family. The sun drew us in with the Thunderman. Then I saw a beam of light. It was the police officer. I ran up to him and showed him the picture. I explained that my family was in great danger. All he told me was that there was nothing he could do. He said we could go back to the car and we would go back to the hotel. A million thoughts ran through my head. Should I concede? Should I resist? What I did next is peanuts compared to what was about to unfold. But I didn't know and looked back. I didn't want to. I gave in to the police officer's request and began to head back to the car. While he had his back turned towards me, I picked up a fair 6-stone and brought it down upon his head. He staggered a bit and fell towards the ground. I took the car keys off him and ran towards the car. It was still dark. I needed to get back to the hotel. I screeched to an immediate halt in the hotel parking lot and ran towards the door where we were staying. I swung open the door to behold the one thing I was trying to prevent. Amidst all the blood that painted the room were 3 bodies making a circle around the Thunder Man. He turned and looked at me. His hollow, non-existent eyes stared deep into me. Emotions I had never felt before. Emotions without names filled my body and brain. It was like he was making me feel everything he ever had. And with an outstretched hand, he said only one thing that we burned into the back of my mind forever. Help me. Sirens came from behind me. I turned around to see the police cruisers pull into the parking lot and watched them get out, using car doors as shields with their guns aimed at me. I raised my hands above my head. I slowly looked behind me to see the Thunderman fade into nothing, leaving only the tattered suits in a heap on the floor. He killed my family. My life would never be the same. Yet, something told me I was never going to see him again. I would never be able to exact revenge, even if I figured out how to. Everything would be everything up until the white padded walls isn't exactly clear to me. I've been told after they saw me at the hotel, with my DNA on the suit, I was made the primary culprit. After they arrested me and suggested me to frivolous testing to which they got nothing, and more unintelligible noises, I submitted to this place. White padded walls. The same white padded walls I see all day. Every day. No one will know what happened to me and my family. The emotions that were broadcasted to me caused me to lose my ability of speech. Now all I can do is write and draw. I write out the emotions that the Slender Man felt. I draw the things he has seen. They are what keep me here. I'm a victim of another man's emotion. Sometimes I feel like I have become him, like we were the same being. That day I learned something. We were Slender. And, guys, that is the end of my Halloween special. I read both The Strangest Security Tape I Ever Saw and Tall, Thin, and Faceless. 2 good stories that I've actually read in the past. The first one, a friend of mine had actually read on a podcast about the Slender Man that I'm on, so I decided to read the second one because of that. I'd like to say Happy Halloween, and remember, may the grace of God protect you on this spooky night of spookers. Goodbye.